trigonometric functions. So basically we're going to find inverse of sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, cosecant, secant. We're going to find basically the inverse. Basically first thing I want to go is with inverse of sine. Inverse of sine. Inverse, how you, the notation is you put the sine and you put a -1 on the top. Sine inverse. That's how you write the sine inverse. This is sine to the power of -1 is basically sine inverse. So today first thing we're going to do is how to find the inverse of sine. So this is a graph. In general, if I have to talk about the graph of sine, this is how my graph of sine will look like if I graphed it. Okay, this is graphically the graph of sine. But the thing is, to find the inverse, it has to be one on one. One on one means if I do the horizontal test, like I draw a horizontal line, it should cross my graph at only one point. But this graph is not one to one. So what I do is just to find my inverse, I will restrict my domain. Restrict my domain will, I will shorten my domain. Rather than having this whole graph, I will take a part of it just to find the inverse. And which part I'm going to take is, I'm going to take this part here. Just till here. I will only consider this part. I'm restricting my domain so that I can find the inverse from this to this. So anyone can tell me from here to here what's my domain? Anyone who can tell me what's my domain from here to here?
Negative pi over 2 to
Pi over 2, yes.
pi over 2.
Yes, so you see your x-axis to find the domain. You are saying the domain for this thing and including pi over 2 and 9. So negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, including the endpoints. You're saying the domain is this thing. For domain, you see the x-axis. For range, you see the y-axis. So if I see what's my range? Range will go from -1 to 1.
1.
Perfect, yes. Any problem so far? You need to understand why I'm not taking the whole thing, because I'm trying to find the inverse. And inverse I cannot find for the whole thing because it is not a one-to-one function. Why it's not to one-to-one? Because when I draw a horizontal line, it cuts at various points. It's supposed to cut at only one point. That's why I'm restricting my domain to just this thing here.
So since that's kind of like it's local and local max, local min, at that point you'll break off?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a reason why we must restrict it?
Because it has to be for inverse, there is a condition. You can find inverse for only one-to-one. You cannot find for inverse if the function is not one-to-one. Sine in general is not one-to-one. Why? See, if I draw a horizontal line here, let's see, I draw a horizontal line. What happens? It's crossing at 3 points, right? The graph. That means it's not one-to-one. It's supposed to cut at only one point. Okay, that's why now I'm just taking this point. If I say this is the only graph, if I draw a horizontal line, it's just cutting at one point. That means this is a one-to-one function. And I can find inverse. I can find inverse only if it's one-to-one. Otherwise, I cannot find the inverse. Are you getting my point, this one?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? This is important, guys. You will need to understand this for cosine, tangent and everything. So make sure you understand. Okay, we are taking this restricted and how to find the domain and the range. Domain you get from the x and range you get from the y. Okay, so what we are doing is, so it's here, y is equal to sine x. We told our domain, restricted domain is this thing, and the range we said is -1 to 1. And these are the different ways we can write it. If you want to write this, you can write this. I mean, it's the same thing we wrote on the top here. Next thing is, okay, Now definition of y is equal to sine inverse of x. This is basically how you write y is equal to sine inverse of x. This basically, what does it mean is, you take the sign on the other side. It becomes sine y is equal to x. These two mean the same thing. So if I say y is equal to sine inverse of x, it basically means that I take this sign on the other side and I remove the inverse. It becomes sine y is equal to x. Note, this was the domain and range for my sine. This was the domain and this was the range. For inverse, it flips. So whatever was your range will become your domain, and whatever was your domain will become your range. So in this, yeah.
Similarly, will it be like the inverse of sine equals cosine?
No,
Or no?
it's no.
No?
It's not
Okay.
cosine. No. Inverse and those things are very opposite. So you have these things here. I again repeat. So whenever you're finding inverse, so sine, I told domain is this thing and range is this thing. When you're finding inverse, it will flip. Your range will become your domain and domain will become your range. Okay. So in this case, note my x was denoting my domain for inverse. X was telling the domain for my inverse. So x will become -1 to 1. It flips. And y was telling the range, so y will become from -π/2 to π/2. Understand this part. Understand this part, how I got this thing here. This is important here. This whole thing is important here, how I got this part here. Make sure you understand this part here. Or you can see at this function here, y denotes my domain. So y will go from -π/2 to π/2, and x is my range. So x will go from -1 to 1. So if it's given in inverse, convert into normal function and then see. If it's y is here, sine of y you're finding. So this y will be from -π/2 to π/2 and is equal to x. This will tell your range. It is from -1 to 1. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So now what they're going to do is, you have to find the exact value of the inverse sine function. They're asking you to find the exact value for the inverse sine function. Example, they say, find the exact value of sine inverse of 1. They say, find the value of sine inverse of 1. Okay. How you're going to do this problem is, you will assume the sine inverse of 1 is equal to something. I say theta. I am assuming something. Sine inverse of 1 is equal to theta. So basically I need to find the value of theta. I need to find what is this theta. So that's what I'm doing. I'm saying let theta is equal to sine inverse of 1. Can anyone tell me theta value from where to where? What will be my theta value? From where to where? Look at this part here. This and this. Compare. And tell me my theta value should go from where to where? Anyone can tell me?
-1 to, wait, or negative,
See, theta is basically y, right?
oh, so yeah, -π/2
To pi
to
over.
π/2.
Exactly. So my theta will go over -π/2 to π/2. Where, if I convert it back into this thing, my sine theta should be equal to 1. So how do you solve these kind of problems? I again repeat is, First of all, what you do is whatever they're asking you to find, put it equal to theta. And see what values of theta, from where to where can I have that theta. So note my theta is basically y in this case. So it should go from negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. Where? And I'm converting back this thing back into normal. I take this sign here, it becomes sine theta is equal to 1. Any questions so far? Anyone? How I got this thing, how I'm writing this, or how I'm writing this? These three things. Any problem? No? So basically what I'm going to do is, I'm going to look at this table now. So I drew this table, the table you already knew, from negative in pi by 2 to pi by 2. I drew it here. So this is negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. I knew the value of 0, pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 3, pi by 2. The sign values. I wrote the sign values next to it. Negative pi by 6, negative pi by 4, negative pi by... These will be just the mirror image of these things, but with a negative sign. I'm looking for sine of theta is equal to 1. Can anyone tell me for what value my sine of theta is 1? Anyone here? Look at this graph and tell me from where is sine of theta equal
Pi
to
over
1?
2.
Pi over 2. So my theta is basically pi over 2. And that's your answer. One thing you have to make sure your theta should be just between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. You cannot have any other one. Do this problem yourself. Find the exact value of sine inverse of negative 1/2. If you have questions from the previous problem, please ask me right now. From now on, all the chapters we are going to go till the very end. Everything is related to trigonometry and this sign inverses we are doing today. Please can you turn on your videos, everyone? Eduardo? Is Eduardo here? Karen?
Yes.
Okay, Karen. Can you tell me what's my first step? It's exactly the same problem the way we did before.
Is it my x is
So basically first you write sine inverse of 1 by 2. You have to find the value, right, of the inverse. You put it equal to theta. And from where to where does my theta value supposed to go? Compared to here, theta is here.
no.
Theta is equal to sine inverse of x, I'm saying, right? Theta is basically y. Where is my y going from? From where to where? Negative pi by 2 to pi by 2, right? So my theta will also go from negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, where my sine theta will be equal to what? Look at this and tell me what will be my sine theta.
1/2.
Yes, you just take the sign there and remove the one sign. So it becomes 1/2. Perfect. So it's negative. There is a negative sign. I forgot to write the negative sign. Okay. Here you tell me where is it negative 1/2? Where do you see negative 1/2? For what theta is my sine negative 1/2?
And negative.
I want negative 1/2. Do you see anywhere negative 1/2?
And pi/6.
Pi over 6 is 1/2. I want negative 1/2.
Oh, okay. In the x and
See
or
here.
in the y.
This is not x and y. I did not write x and y. Usually you write x and y. I just wrote the angle and the sine value.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you see negative pi over 6 is giving me negative 1/2. So my theta basically becomes negative pi over 6. And I need to find theta value only, right? So that's my answer.
Okay.
Did you get it, Karen, or no?
Yes.
Any problem, anyone with this? Note this thing should be between negative 1 and 1, and this thing should be from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. This was between negative 1 over 1. So this thing is between negative pi over 2, and then you basically look at your graph and then find the value. Next thing you are doing is this thing. So that thing was to find the exact value of sine inverse. In this case, note what we learned is, so far what we learned is, we learned sine inverse of x is equal to y, which basically means sine of y is equal to x. And we also said that x should go from, negative 1 to 1, and then my y should be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. This is what we've learned so far. Okay. Now they are asking you to find the value of sine inverse of 1 over 3. Sine inverse of 1 over 3. Okay. First of all, you need to check here this 1 over 3. This x here, it should be between negative 1 and 1. It is between negative 1 and 1. But sine inverse of 1 over 3. If I try to find 1 over 3 here, let's see here. Where is 1 over 3? I have 1, this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. I don't know what is sine inverse of 1 over 3. I don't know what is 1 over 3. I did not draw on the circle. I don't know these values. I only know these values, which we already knew how to draw these. So what you do is, for this thing, when they are finally asking you to find approximate value. Note, previous question was to find exact value. This is approximate value. For approximate value, what you're going to do is turn on your calculator here. Turn on your calculator, and what you're going to do is, everyone take out your calculators. You will need calculators for this thing. How you're going to do is, press the second button. Just over the sign there is a sine inverse. Just over the sign there is a sine inverse function here. So press second, sine inverse. Then write this 1 divided by 3. 1 divided by 3. Make sure to close the bracket. And then enter. So your answer will be just 0.3398. I again repeat, since I don't know, by looking at the table itself, I didn't know what was 1 over 3. For what angle was sine inverse 1 over 3, I didn't knew that. So I'm just going to use my calculator and find the value. Similarly, for sine inverse of negative 1 over 4, can anyone tell me? Use your calculators and find the value of negative 1 over 4 and tell me what you're getting.
Point 2526.
Is it positive or negative?
Or point, yeah, it's positive.
It's positive?
No, oh snap. Negative.
Negative. Yes.
Negative 252. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll get something like this. Any questions so far? How to find the value? Note my here, sine inverse of these values should be between negative 1 and 1, and this should be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. And if they are asking you to find approximate value, just put in the calculator and find it. If they are asking you to find the exact value, you need to put it is equal to theta and then solve it. Okay. If you got this thing here, next thing we're going to use is properties of inverse. So the properties of inverse, what do they say is, it's these two properties. What it says is, if I'm finding composite of f inverse of fx, sine inverse of sine x, then it will be equal to x only. It will be equal to x only. Note, just look at your sine x. Just look at the inside, whatever is inside. You have sine x. Since it's sine x, what will be the domain for this x? Since it's just x, sine x, it will be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. But if I am finding the opposite, sine of sine inverse of x, this will be equal to x only if, here, see inside here. What's the domain for this one? Negative 1 to 1. So make sure whatever is inside, you need to consider the domain of that thing. Guys, make sure you're understanding this. This is not an easy topic. I again repeat, inverse is not easy. If you are having problem, you're not understanding, please let me know. I'll try to explain another way. Okay, example, let's see. Find the exact values of each of the composite functions. Okay, first example is this thing, sine inverse of sine pi by 8. Okay, can anyone tell me this pi by 8, from where to where should be this pi by 8? Is it my this property or this property? Which property I'm using?
The f negative 1,
Yes.
fx and negative 1.
I number this as 1, I number this as 2. So it's basically number 1, right? You're correct, and one die. You're correct. So you're getting the first one. Okay, this pi by 8. Is this pi by 8 between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2? Since it's the first one, can anyone tell me, is this pi by 8 between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2?
Yes.
Yes, it is between. So that means I know directly it will be equal to pi by 8. Basically, they cancel and you get pi by 8. They cancel only if it is between these two values. Only if it's in between these two values. If it's not in between these two values, it is not equal to that function. You cannot cancel.
Within the parentheses, you wrote sine, right?
Yes, it's sine, yes.
Okay.
Sine negative 1
Sine where negative 1? Oh, sine to the power
in
of
the
negative 1.
parentheses for the second one. It was sine
yes.
negative 1.
It's sine to the power of negative 1, yes. On the top, yes.
Okay.
Again repeat, this should be between these two ranges. negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. If it's not between this range, it is not equal to x. You cannot just cancel. Let's do one more example. I say find sine inverse of 5 pi by 8. Okay, negative pi by 2 to pi by 2 basically means negative 90 to 90. Negative pi by 2 is 90. So basically my x should be negative 90 to 90 if you are confused between radians. What is 5 pi by 8? Can anyone tell me what is 5 pi by 8?
5 pi by 8, oh, wait, never mind. That's like 1, 6, like, are you talking about for degrees?
Degrees, yes.
Like 160
How do you do it is, replace pi by 180. You will get your answer. 5 times 180, you get this thing, and then divide it by 4. Oh, divide by 8. Get this thing. 112.5, which is not in the domain. Which is not in the domain. My domain is negative 90 to 90. It is not between negative 90 to 90. It's more than 90. So in this case, if I technically see here, okay, let me show graphically, it's here. Okay. Technically, if you see here, this is my graph. 5 pi by 8 is going somewhere here, more than 90, but less than 180. And for this value, okay, I need this thing here. Okay. Note for this thing, if I find, how do you find the angle? Who will give me the same value is, you subtract from 180. 180 minus the angle. So you can say x. It will give you 180 minus the x. It will give you the same angle, but in the first quadrant, which will have the same value as this thing. I again repeat, from 180 when you subtract x, if it's in this side here, from 180 if you subtract your x, it will give you the same angle but in the first quadrant. It will give you the same quadrant in the first quadrant, and that will be between negative 90 to 90. So I can use that angle. So what they did is, from 180, basically from pi, 180 is basically pi, they subtracted 5 pi by 8. And how do you do it? You make common denominator. Divide by 8, multiply by 8. So it becomes 8 pi minus 5 pi over 8. So it becomes 3 pi over 8. Note this and this. These will give me the same value. These will give me the same value. Note it says we need to find, since it does not belong to this thing, we need to find theta which belongs to this thing, such that my sine theta is equal to this thing. And how do you find it is, since this was in second quadrant, you will subtract it from 180. That will give me the same. That will be in the first quadrant and will give me the same value. Now I know 3 pi by 8.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So you have to subtract it by like 180 or something like that. No matter what we do. So like just say like it's gonna be like 270 just as a radiant, something like that.
So let me, okay.
You have to just subtract that from the.
See, you found your value 5 pi by 8. First you will check what is this 5 pi by 8. What's the value of this thing? How do you convert from radians to degrees? You multiply by 100 over pi. That's what you do. When you multiply by 100 over pi, this thing, you will get your degrees. When I convert it into degrees, I found it to be 112 something, which means it is in this quadrant, 90, 180. It's middle here. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing is, it's in this thing, but I don't want in this quadrant. My angle should be either in this.
So then you have to subtract it by like, say like pi over 2, so you can get it back within the 90 degrees, right?
Yes. So you subtract it from 180. You subtract from pi, not from pi by 2.
Okay.
You subtract from pi. And in case it's here, in case it's the angle is in this side. If it's in these two quadrants, I'm good. I'm not worried. If it's in these two quadrants. But if it's in these two quadrants, then it's a concern for me. If it's in this
Okay.
here, you subtract from phi. If it's in here, from x you subtract pi. That's how you find it. So basically you got sine pi by 5 pi by 8 is equal to sine 3 pi by 8. And once you got this thing, it becomes, I can write sine inverse sine 3 pi by 8. And since this 3 pi by 8, since this 3 pi by 8 is in between, belongs to negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. It's in the middle of these two. It's here. That means it is equal to, I can cancel and it will be equal to 3 pi by 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Next thing they say is find the exact value of sine inverse of 0.8. Now they are talking about which property here. Let's see here. We had these two properties here. Which property am I talking about? Anyone? Sine inverse of 0.8. Am I talking about property 1 or
The
property
second
2?
one.
The second one.
The second one.
Yes, because sine inverse is inside. Here my sine inverse is inside. Before my sine was inside, now my sine inverse is inside here. I'm finding sine composite sine inverse. In this case, what you're gonna do is, it is equal to x only if this x is between -1 and 1. What I have here, x, 0.8. Is my 0.8 between -1 and 1?
Yes.
Yes, it is between -1 and 1. So they basically cancel and your answer is 0. Only reason is because 0.8 belongs to -1 and 1. If it's between that value, directly just cancel and that will be your answer. But if it's not, you have to make it in the exact value. One more example. Let's see one more example here. Okay. Sine of sine inverse of 1 by 3, 1.3. Okay.
So another question.
Yeah.
It's so if that happens too, then if it's cosine or tangent, if it no matter what, it's that both are going to cross out, right?
The thing is, cosine and tangent I haven't taught as yet. It's very different than sine. Right now we are just talking about sine.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything has, all the functions have different things. So right now I'm just talking about sine, nothing else.
What are the two properties called?
Okay, these are the properties of sine inverse, composite of sine inverse. So it says exact values for certain composite functions, properties for inverse functions for certain composite functions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let's look at this value here. Now this one here. Sine of sine inverse of 1 by 3. Is Eduardo here?
Yeah.
Okay, Eduardo. Okay, can you tell me, Eduardo, for this one here, sine of sine inverse of 1 by 3. Okay. First of all, which property am I talking about?
You're talking about all this, everything that's in the inside, right?
Yeah, so is it it's my first property or the second property?
It's in the problem is is it 13 or is it 1 times 3?
It's 1.3.
Yeah, because I see a dot there.
No, it's
That's
1.3.
in the
It's 1.3. It's 1.3. So first you tell me which property am I using?
That'll be the first property.
Why is it the first property?
Because how there's a 3 in there. So basically it's telling us that it's past like a third one's time.
See here.
So it's going back into it to be like 1 and then 1/3.
You know, Eduardo, this number does not tell me which property I'm using. This order tells me. First I'm writing sine, then I'm writing sine inverse, right? Are you getting my point, Eduardo, here?
Yeah.
This order tells me which property I'm using. Now see the order here. And tell me which property am I using.
You're using the first one, right?
First is here is sine inverse, then is sine. In the second,
Yeah, it's the opposite version.
yeah, so here I have sine first, then sine inverse. So basically I'm talking about the second property now, not the first one.
So that's gonna mean that it's not gonna be applicable because it's over 1.
Yes, exactly, you're correct. So my x should since it's my second property, my x should be between -1 and 1, right?
Yes. So that means that we can't use that.
Yes, exactly. But here my x is 1.3, which does not belong to -1 and 1. It is more than 1. So that means no solution for this one. Since it's not between that thing, there's no solution.
Yeah, like I said, it's not applicable.
Yes, exactly, yes. Okay, let's do one more problem here. Okay, we did this one. Okay, I want everyone to do these problems. So far we did all of these 4 things. I want you to do these 4. If you could do these problems by yourself right now, you got what we are doing. But do these 4 right now. If anyone you need help, please let me know.
Is that negative pi over 10?
Yeah, it's negative pi over 10. Yes. Please, if you have questions, please ask me. This is not an easy topic. I again repeat. If you have questions, and you should be having questions.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to solve the first one.
Okay, so it's basically you see 2 functions like sine inverse and sine. That means I'm using one of these properties. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I'm using one of these properties here. Okay. You tell me which property is it. Is it the first property or the second property, Angel?
The first one,
Why is it the first one?
because sine inverse sine is first.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
sine inverse is first, and inside I have sine of x. Here also I have sine of something. Okay.
Yeah.
Next thing I want, so my x should be between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. Okay. If I know it is this thing, next thing I need to check this here x. That means my negative pi over 10 should be between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Is it true? Is negative pi over 10 between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2?
No, right?
What is negative pi? Okay, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2 means negative 90 to 19 degrees. Okay, I need to find negative pi over 10. How do you find in degrees? Is you multiply by 180 over pi. It becomes basically what? Cancel. It becomes negative 18. Is negative 18 between negative 90 and 90?
Wait, that's negative 18?
You multiply. So I convert this negative pi over 10 into degrees in case radians is confusing for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, it is between negative 90 and 90.
It is between, right? It is between. Since negative pi over 10 belongs to, that means it is between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Since it belongs, I can basically cancel and my final answer is just this thing. My sine inverse and sine cancel and I'm left with negative pi over 10. Since they belong.
So in cases where it does belong, we can just switch them?
No, you can, if it belongs, you just cancel and that's your answer.
Oh, okay.
So like, let's do this example here. I want to do this example, C part here. Okay. Which property am I using? Which is it, the first one or the second one?
Is that sine on the outside?
Yes, sine and then sine inverse.
Okay. That's the second one then.
It's the second one. And where is my x value? From where to where is my x value going from second one? See here in the property.
Negative 1 to 1?
Negative 1 to 1. Is this between negative 1 to 1?
That's 0.12, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's negative 1 to 1.
If it's between, what happens?
This is the same thing we did earlier. We can
Yes.
just cancel, and then
Yes.
it'll be equal to, is it negative?
Yeah, negative 0.12. That's it.
Okay.
Just because negative 0.12 belongs to negative 1 to 1.
And then, okay, well, for the next one, that's a 2, so that's not between negative 1 and 1. What do we do there?
Undefined.
Oh, we just put undefined and that's
Yeah,
it?
yeah, because 2 does not belong to negative 1 and 1.
For B,
Yeah.
I got only 2 when I had to figure out. I did the radiant 2 degree, which is 495.
So you got 495, which is above 360 also, right? The whole circle is 360. Are you getting my point? When you convert into
Yeah.
degrees, what did you get?
I got 495.
495. You're saying this thing 11 pi by 4. 11 pi by 4 is 495, right?
Yeah.
This whole circle is 360. So it's even more than that, right? So
Yeah.
basically, I'm taking this whole circle and then I'm going again. That's what it means. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to subtract 360. I want to get in the exact circle within 160, 360 range. Subtract, see what you get. 5 to 135. Now I know where it is. It's in my second quadrant, 135. Are you getting my point? And one day?
Yeah, that'd be 3. It would be 3 pi over 4.
3 pi over 4, yes. Or 135 if you want to convert into degrees. But still, it is not between. This angle should be between what and what?
That angle should be between, what is that, sin negative? It should be between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2.
So negative 90 to 90. But it is not between negative 90 or 90. It is above 90. So how do I make between 90, you tell me?
Would you put it by 90 or wait?
I told you for this one, how do you do it? See here? When it's in this angle, right? It's in this side here. 135 is here. So to find this angle, what you do is you subtract from 180. So
Subtract it from 180.
So you will get 180 minus 135.
Yeah, 45 degrees.
45. Now, does this 45 belong to my... So basically,
Pi over 4.
by doing this, what I'm trying to say is sine 11 pi by 4 is actually equal to sine 45, which is pi by 4. That's what I'm trying to say. That these two are equal.
They're equal?
Let me explain how. Let me show you how. Let me show you. So basically what you had is, let's talk about sine 11 pi by 4 only first of all inside here. For everyone who did not understand, please understand this thing here. Let's forget about this thing here. I know this thing and I know that my this 11 pi by 4, I want something in between does not belong to negative pi by 2 or pi by 2. I want something between pi by 2 or negative pi by 2. But this does not belong to that thing. So I need to find something. I need to find a theta. So I need to find a theta such that theta belongs to negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. I need to find a theta which belongs to this domain. Okay. I have this thing. Let's see what is this thing here. If you're confused in radians, convert into degrees. I again repeat, if you are confused in radians, convert into degrees. So basically I'm trying to say you're given sine of 495. I want my 495 does not belong to negative 90 to 90. It does not belong. But I need to find an angle which belongs to this thing. I need to find an angle which belongs to this thing. How do you find it is 495? So let's see where is 495 first of all. Okay, 495. This whole thing is 360. So I go this whole revolution. And then how much more do I go from 360? I go 135 more. So I reach this angle here. This is my 495. This whole thing is 360. And then 495 minus 360. Let's do, what do you get? How do I know I reached this point? From 495 you subtract 360. I got 135. So that means this is 135. Because it is between 90 and 180. Any problem till here? How I got this 135?
Nope.
Okay. So I am saying basically sine 495 is equal to 135. I am saying this. From subtracting this whole circle because I am reaching the same point back from subtracting 360. I am saying this is equal. But note, my 135 still does not belong between negative 90 to 90. I need to find an angle between negative 90 to 90. So what I do is from 180 I subtract x. So basically I subtract from 180 I subtract 135. When I solve I get 45. I said this is also equal to sine 45. I say this is also equal to sine 45. Now this 45 belongs to this thing. 45 belongs to negative 90 to 90. Now I am satisfied. So basically the problem which I had, which said sine inverse of sine 495, this becomes equal to sine inverse of sine inverse of sine 45 now. And since this 45 belongs to this domain, they basically cancel and you're left with just 45.
So you don't have to use the unit circle anymore? You use that instead?
Yes, yes. For the properties, we are not using unit circle. For the properties, we are not using unit circle. What we are trying to see is, for properties, we are trying to see is, let me see. We are not using unit circle at all for the properties. What we are trying to see is this angle, in case my sine is inside, my x should be between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. If sine inverse is inside the bracket, my x should be between negative 1 and 1. That's what I'm trying to see. That's it. We are not using unit circle at all. Are you getting a point in one die?
Can you do another one of that one?
Yes.
Of like another one like that, please?
Yes, exactly. Let's do it. Yes. Okay. So let me find an example. Okay. Okay, if I say find the value of sine inverse of sine negative 3 pi by 4. Sine inverse of sine negative 3 pi by 4. I have here. Can you tell me which quadrant is negative 3 pi by 4?
It's on 2.
So this
One.
is my first,
Yeah,
this is
2.
my second, this is my third, this is my fourth. You're saying
3
it's,
pi by 4. Yeah, 2. It's the second one.
no, there is a negative also.
Oh, shoot. Whoops. 3 pi by 4. 3 pi by 4. Negative 3 pi by 4.
And 4?
We still convert it into degrees.
If it's positive, you see, you don't have to convert into degrees. You can do in radians. It's just for people for whom it is tough to understand in radians. I convert it into degrees. Usually you have to do your answer in radians. When you leave your final answer, you will not write 45, you will write pi by 4 because the question was in radians. You can do your work in degrees, but at the end, since your answer is supposed to go on my lab, make sure you put back in radians. So, anyone who can tell me where is negative 3 pi by 4?
It's in quadrant 3.
It's in quadrant 3. The reason exactly why, if it's positive, you go from this, you go anti-clockwise. If it's negative, you go clockwise. So I'm going to go clockwise. Negative 3 pi by 4. How much angle is negative 3 pi by is 135. So I go negative of 135. So I reach here in the third quadrant. So I'm here, somewhere here. And this whole thing will be negative 3 pi by 4. Note my angle should be either in first or fourth quadrant. And it should be between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. It should be in first or fourth quadrant, and it should be between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. And this is not between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. So how do I find it is, note my this angle. How do I find this angle? Can anyone tell me how do I find this angle? I want to find this angle here.
You subtract it by 180
Exactly.
over.
So from pi, you're saying from pi, right? 180 is pi. You subtract that thing and what do you get? You get subtract, you do it. What do you get? Do it.
So pi, checked.
You subtract 3 pi by 4.
Pi over 4?
You get pi over 4.
2. Pi over 4.
Right?
It's not 2 pi over 4?
Why? You multiply by 4 divided by 4. It becomes 4 pi minus 3 pi, which is pi over 4.
Okay.
Since it was in third quadrant here, okay, it will go in the fourth quadrant. So it will be negative. Since it was negative 3 pi by 4, it will be negative pi over 4. So it becomes sine inverse of sine negative pi by 4. And now this belongs to this range. So this will basically cancel and your answer is negative pi by 4.
See, what confuses me is the whole like math thing on the bottom, the pi, and then you have to divide like the whole common.
Let me give you an
factor
thing. Okay. So what happens is, if it's in this here, if it's in this quadrant, you're good. You don't have to worry about this quadrant. You don't have to worry about this quadrant also. Oh, sorry, this is the fourth quadrant. 1 and 4th, if your angle is in these two quadrants, you don't have to worry at all. We want in these two quadrants. Okay, and I want my answer between negative pi by 2, this is negative pi by 2 and this is pi by 2. I want my answer between these two here, these two. Okay, if you have between these two, you're good. But if it comes in some way, if the angle comes in this here, okay, what you're going to do is, from 180 you will subtract that thing. Remember, in this case, example in this case, I got 135, right?
Yeah.
So what will you do is, your new x will be 180 minus 135. Okay. But if it's in third quadrant, what you're gonna do is, from 180 you will again subtract. Or you can basically say, rather than doing 180 minus x, you can say x minus 180.
Yeah, it's not clicking. Wait, this isn't clicking.
So I know this is confusing. It will come with more practice. It's see here. Let me explain here. See here. These 4 problems will you'll get to know. Okay, let me explain in this thing. So you had first this thing belonged to my domain, right? So it cancels and you get this thing. Okay, in this example also, this belonged to my domain. They cancel and you get your final answer. But when your sine inverse is inside, and this thing does not belong to your domain, then it is directly undefined. Okay, but when you have sine inverse of sine something, now my sine is inside, this is the first property, and my angle does not belong. My angle does not belong to negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. I will try to find another angle which will give me the same value as sine 11 pi by 4. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find another sine value. It's not like, okay, sine 11 pi by 4 is giving me, suppose it's giving me value as one half. Suppose, okay, it's giving me value as 1/2. It's not like only sine 11 pi by 4 will give me 1/2. Sine 45 also can give me 1/2. Are you getting my point? It's not
A little bit.
on the sine. If you the sine thing, they're not saying, okay, sine of some angle. It does not mean only that angle will give me some specific value. Another angle can also give me the same value. Are you getting
Oh,
it?
so you're trying to find one that's equivalent
Exactly.
to.
Exactly. But it's in the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant. That's what
Okay.
I'm trying to do.
Okay.
You get it? So basically 11 pi by 4 was in my second quadrant. There will be some angle in either the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant which will give me the same value as this thing. Sine 11 pi by 4. I need to find that angle. How do I do it is, since 11 pi by 4 was more than 360, first I subtracted 360. I got 135. It's still not in these two quadrants. You're supposed to find one angle which is in either this or this. Can you tell me, do you remember we did something like this? Okay. Do you remember we did something? Let me take another page. Remember we did all students
Take calculus.
take calculus, right? We did
Yeah.
this thing. If I have, suppose I drew here, sine values I drew, right? I hate it. This was my 0, for it was give me 0 degrees, right? When it was 30 degrees, what was the value?
It
1 by
was for 30 degrees. It was pi over 6. It was.
Yeah.
It was
I'm writing in degrees right now.
square
okay?
root 3.
And this is square root 3 over 2, and 90 it was 1, right?
Yeah.
Now I drew more here. I drew more here. Then you had 120 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Then you had 135 degrees, and then you had 150 degrees and 180 degrees, right? You had this thing. Agree?
Yes.
What was the value for 120?
Negative 1/2.
No, it was root 3 over 2.
Oh, value. Oh,
It
jeez.
was 1 over
Okay.
root 2. It was 1 over 2 and this was 0, right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing 120 and 60 are giving me the same value? Are you seeing that? It's not like only sine 60 is giving me root 3 over 2. Sine 120 also is giving me root 3 over 2. Are you understanding?
Oh, snap. Okay. I
So-
see it. I
So
see
it
it.
does not mean if sine 120 is basically sine 60 also. Are you getting my point here?
Yeah.
So there I had sine 135, right? I had sine 135. But I don't need sine 135. I need a value which is the same, which is going to give me the same value in either this quadrant or this quadrant.
Which would be sine 45.
Exactly. That's how I found sine 45.
Okay. See that Okay, thank you. That helped
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, we need to find the same angle. And how do you find it is basically you subtract from 180, that angle. And in this case, you subtract from x minus 180 in most cases, yes. If it's a negative, then just subtract it. Since it's a negative, you subtract it. And it for this thing, note here, if my angle is here, again I repeat, if my angle is here, the same value will be in the first quadrant because both of them are positive. Root, sine are both positive here. But if I say my negative, I'm talking about a negative angle here, I'm talking about some angle here, the other same angle will be in this quadrant, not in these two quadrants, because here my sign will be negative and here also it will be negative. Are you getting my point here? If I say my
Yes,
angle is here,
yeah.
right? If my angle is here, I say here. Suppose I say my angle value is negative 1 over 2. Where else will be my sign negative? It will be in this quadrant, right? Not in this, not in this. Here is sign positive, here is sign positive. Here will be my sign negative, right? So the next
Yeah.
angle will be in here, negative 1 over 2. And I need to find for what value is it negative 1 over 2.
Oh, so what value is negative 1 over 2?
Yes, I need to find. I'm just saying if I have to find it.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
330. Yes. Okay, so that means that positives are together in a group and negatives are together in a group. So you're just paying attention to, if you see the radians, just put in degrees
And
to
yes.
see which quadrant it goes in.
Yes, and later
And then
when
just
you find
convert
the
it.
final answer, convert into radians.
Okay, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone with sine? Cosine is almost the same also, but there is like a little difference in cosine, okay? Let's do cosine here. I want to do cosine at least. I want to be able to do tangent. So y is equal to cosine inverse of x. It also means the same thing. But note the graph of cosine changes. It is something like this. And I have restricted it. I just drew the restricted one. But if you want to draw further, it goes like this and keeps on going. But I am just considering from here to here. In this case, my domain in general was from 0 to pi. And my range was from negative 1 to 1. But now since I'm talking about inverse function, my domain will become range and my range will become domain. And in this case, my domain was x. So that means inverse. Since I'm talking about inverse, for inverse, my domain will become negative 1 to 1, which is x, and range will become 0 to pi. Note the domain changes, the range changes for inverse. Before my y should be negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now it's 0 to pi. Same problem here. Let's do here. They say find the exact value of cos inverse of 0. Now you have to find it, put it equal to theta. So you get basically cos theta is equal to 0. And now it's 0 to pi, so I'm going to just consider these values. 0 to pi. I made already a circle and I wrote all the cos values from 0 to pi. Can anyone tell me for what value is my cos 0?
Oh, 360.
See here, from
what
0 to pi
value?
only.
Oh, 2 pi?
See,
Or 1. Oh, jeez.
see where is 0? See, for pi by 6, my cos value is root 3 over 2. For pi by 4, it is root 2 over 2. For pi by 3, it is 1 by 2. For pi by 2, it is 0. Note,
No, 1.
so basically, my theta becomes pi by 2.
Oh.
See here. Pi by 2, 0. For pi
I'm
by 2,
looking at
my
the
cos-
x value. Is that what
No,
I'm
no,
doing?
no.
Oh, I have to look at the x.
And one day, the thing is, I did not make the exact table. What I'm doing is, I'm just writing the angles and the cos values.
Oh,
I did not make the exact table, x and y values. I'm not making the exact x and y table. Don't confuse
okay.
yourself there. I'm just writing the angles and the cos values.
So the theta would be pi over 2?
Yes. Why? Why? The reason is I need to find a cos theta which gives me 0. For what values from 0 to pi where I'm getting 0? It is at pi over 2. Did you get my point here or no?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I want you to find the value of cosine inverse of root 2 over 2. Find the value for cosine inverse of root 2 over 2. Shaira?
Yes.
Okay, Shaira. Cos inverse of root 2 over 2. How do you solve this? See, I will put it equal to theta. What do I get? Convert
Oh,
it,
wait.
convert it into this form. You are given this form, convert it into this form. I want to write cos of something is equal to something. Convert it. What does it become?
Wait, sorry, what do you mean?
I am given this thing, right? Y is equal to cos inverse of x. I am given theta is equal to cos inverse of root 2 over 2. Okay? I want to write in this form. How do I write it?
Cosine theta equals root 2 over 2.
Okay. Now what you have to check is for which angle is my root 2 over 2? Where do you see root 2 over 2?
Pi over 4.
So you see pi over 4 here, Shaira?
Yes.
It is root 2 over 2. So my answer is theta is equal to pi over 4.
So in cosine, we're just basically just finding the roots, like pi over 4 or something, but instead we're just finding the opposite of this.
In India, not Indian thing. In sine also we were doing the same thing. In sine also we were doing the same thing. I haven't gone to properties as yet. You're talking about the properties. In sine also
Yeah, because I watched like a Khan Academy video just to give me like a quick peek on what we're gonna be doing today. Like it basically like tells me that you're just basically like finding like what's the inverse of like root 2 over 2 or something like that.
Yes, exactly, yes. Okay. Now
And then I thought that we were gonna be doing that for this lesson.
no, we're doing properties also. It's like they want me to do the properties also. Yeah, so next thing we are going to is inverse. Note inverse for cosine and here. When you have cosine x here, my x should belong to 0 to pi. Again, the properties are same. In previous, it was negative pi by 2 to pi by 2, but cosine, my domain is 0 to pi, not negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. But my range remains the same. So cos inverse of x will actually be equal to x when my x is between negative 1 and 1. And in this case, it is between 0 and pi. So let's do this example. It's the same way we've been doing before. It's the exact same way we've been doing before. So let's see here. Samantha. Samantha. Not here. Angel.
Yeah.
So this is my first or second?
That is the first.
Okay. So you have here pi by 12. Does my pi by 12, so I have to see if my pi by 12 belongs to 0 and pi.
If it's in between
It's in between 0 and pi.
Yeah, right? Because
Yeah.
it's
What is
pi
pi
by
by
12.
12?
It's in between 0 and pi,
Pi,
right?
yes. And how did you check that?
Well, because it's pi divided by 12. So
Exactly,
it's gonna
yes. It's definitely between that. So what happens when it, so you are saying pi by 12 does belong to 0 and pi, right? If they belong, just cancel, your answer is pi by 12. You don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, so we just, okay.
If it belongs, you don't have to worry, just cancel, your answer is pi by 12. Good. Christopher?
I'm still trying to catch up.
Can I work on the next one? Because I'm still a little bit confused.
Okay, you can work on the next one, yeah.
Okay. We use the second,
Okay.
cosine, and cosine inverse is
Negative
x.
0.4. So this should belong where to where?
Negative 1 and 1.
Does it belong to negative 1 and 1?
That's negative 0.4. Yeah.
So you are saying negative 0.4 belongs to negative 1 and 1.
Yeah.
What happens when they belong?
Same thing. Then where we convert it to?
When they belong, just cancel these two, your answer is negative 0.4.
We don't convert it to like radians or anything.
No. If your answer question was in radians, then leave the answer in radians. And here it is just value, range value, so it will be just this thing. Okay. Is Christopher here?
Yes.
Okay. Christopher here, let's see cosine inverse of cosine negative 2 pi by 3.
Okay. You would use the first one.
Okay, we are using the first one, you're correct. And where should my angle be? Negative 2 pi by 3 should belong to?
It should belong between 0 is less than x is less than pi.
Yes, so 0 and pi. Does negative 2 by 3 belong to 0 and pi?
It's negative.
So let's draw. What is 2 pi by 3? Which is negative 2 pi by 3? Let's see what is 2 pi by 3 first.
That's 120 degrees.
How do you convert that?
180 over pi.
180 over pi. So you cancel, you get 60, you got 120. Correct. But it is negative 120, right? Because it was negative. Yeah. If I draw negative 120, which quadrant do I go?
Third.
So you're saying I reached here, 120, negative 120, right? But I need my answer either in this or this. Okay. So what happens is, in case of cosine, this x-axis acts as your mirror. I again repeat, in case of cosine, this x-axis will act as mirror. Whatever is your negative value giving you, the same value will be for the positive one also. So basically, your cosine inverse of cosine 2 pi by 3 will also give you the same value. You can make a note.
Oh.
In case of cosine, you don't have to do 180, that is for sine. But in case of cosine, you can say x, or better way to write it is, let me see, it's even. X-axis acts as a mirror. So whatever angle is here, if I reflect it with respect to x-axis, it will go on this side, second quadrant, and the same angle will have the same value. So when I reflect it here, it's negative 120. I reflect like this, it will go positive 120, which is also in the, it's between 0 and pi. So that means,
So it's pi over 3.
yes, it's 2 pi over 3 is your final answer. Since 2 pi over 3 belongs to 0 to pi, my answer is 2 pi over 3. In case of sine,
with y, we're reflecting over the y-axis, and for sine, we're reflecting over the y-axis, and for cosine,
exactly, you got it. Yes, you can say that exactly. With sine, you're reflecting with respect to y-axis, and for cosine, you're reflecting with respect to x-axis. That's absolutely correct, Angel. Let's do one more problem here. Cosine of cosine inverse of pi here. Okay. Can I have Joshua?
Yeah,
Okay, Joshua. Can you tell me for this thing, is it my first property or the second one?
that one would be the second.
You're saying the second one.
Okay,
Right.
wait, first, sorry. Hey, which one are you doing? D
This one,
or
this
the
one,
exact?
this one, D, D, D.
Oh, D?
Yeah.
I believe that'd be the second one, right?
Why is it the second one?
Because for the first cos is positive and the second one, the only antidepressant.
Yeah, cos of inverse, right? Inverse is inside, so it becomes my second one. X value should be from where to where?
From -1 to 1.
What's my X here?
Your X is pi?
Does pi belong to -1 to 1?
No.
No, it does not belong. Since it does not belong and cos inverse inside does not exist. Directly. It does not belong, you cannot find. Since your inverse is inside and if it does not belong, your direct answer is does not exist.
So it's not no solution, it just does not exist.
Does not exist, no solution is the same thing.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Oh, because pi is equal to 3.14. It's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
Yeah.
So for a quick question, if it's so for the code for the C again, if it's negative, you just gotta make it if it's a positive, you just gotta make it positive the negative. So you don't gotta do anything else to it. It's just the same answer, just switch signs.
The thing is, before going further, I'm not gonna go further today. I wanted to do more, but I'm not gonna go further. Let me give you some problems. Do those problems. If you get it, that means you got it. Okay. Let me give you some problems. I want you to find values of.
Yeah, can you give a problem kind of like C?
I'm gonna give you all mixed so that you guys, you know how to do it. These are the problems. Try yourself. If you get it, you got it. This problem really good. Can I have Gerald? Gerald?
Yes.
Okay. Gerald, sine
Hello?
inverse of 0. Okay.
Sine inverse of 0 would be 0, yes?
Yes, exactly. Because sine of 0 gives me 0. Sine of what will give me 0? Sine of 0 will give me 0. Correct. Okay. Daniel?
I'm here. Just give me a sec, really quick. I'm trying to catch up.
In this case, you didn't give us anything that you would we would give approximates for, but in my lab it would, right?
For approximate for what?
Remember when you give us
You have to find
if it
exact.
does,
This is for exact. I haven't done approximate one.
yeah, that's what I was.
Daniel, can you tell me the second one?
I believe.
Cosine of what gives me
Cosine-
1? Cosine of what gives me 1? So you can say like this. Cosine of what gives me 1?
Is 0?
Cosine of 0, yes. And your answer it should be between 0 and pi. So, yes. Cosine of 0 gives me 1. Perfect. And one die?
1.
Sine of, okay. Sine of
Negative.
Sine of what gives me negative 1?
Negative 1. Wouldn't it be the 1 to...
It's gonna be Nick. Can I answer it?
Wait.
It's gonna be
Wait. And one die. Let and one die answer. And one die.
Would it be the same? Would it be negative
Okay.
1 still?
Oh, wait. What does sine of what gives me 1? You tell me. 1.
What gives you 1? Zero. Like,
Sine
what,
values.
zero?
You where is your table? That round table, not the ones which I made today, which you have previously.
Oh, this one. Okay.
What gives you 1?
Gives you 1. And on the x value, on the x,
You tell me just sine of what gives me 1. I want sine of something is equal to 1. What is it? Sine of 30, sine of 60, sine of 45, 90. What does give me 1?
oh, sine of 360 gives you 1.
Sine of 360 gives me 1.
That's a next sign.
Or
And
90?
Yes, sine of
90.
90 gives me 1. But I'm talking about negative 1, right? So it will be negative 90, which is negative pi by 2. I need to write my answer in radians, not degrees. Did you get it how I got it or no?
Because negative 1 on the unit circle is 270.
Yeah, 270, which is negative pi 9. 270 is basically negative pi by 2 also. Negative 90 also.
Oh,
But I need, because for sine I need my values between negative pi by 2 and pi by 2. I have to write it in the form of negative rather than writing 270.
okay.
So
Okay.
30 will
It says
become negative
negative.
30, 60 will become negative 60, 90 will become negative 90, 120 will become negative 120, like this. Are you getting my point?
Oh, yes.
For sine, yes. Because my x-axis becomes the thing. Okay. Jose?
Pi over 4.
0, 1 by 200. Yes, exactly. Pi over 4. Correct. You are correct. Alejandro?
Wait. For that one, for pi over 4,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, because it's inverse.
So
It's inverse.
basically you can ask a question like this. Angel, sine of what gives me root 2 over 2?
Is it pi over 4, right?
Exactly. So answer is pi over 4. That's how you
Okay.
can say.
Alright.
Is Alejandro here? No. Axel?
Yes.
Okay, Axel. I need to find, okay, here. Sine inverse of negative root 2 over 2.
That would be it's either I'm not sure what it was. It was
Okay, for what value is my sine
What was-
root 2 over 2?
pardon?
For what value do I get sine as the root 2 over 2? What sine gives me root 2 over 2?
Screw. Oh yeah, 45.
45. Since it's negative, it will be negative 45, which is negative pi over 4. 45 is pi over 4.
Yeah, a quick question.
Yeah.
Though. If it's like that, because it can also be in the second quadrant, right?
No.
The negative root over 2.
No. The thing is, for sine, I need my answer in first and fourth only. For sine, my answer should be in first and fourth, and for cosine, it should be in first and second.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So guys, I want you to do these problems, and all these problems, do it, and maybe before tomorrow, before starting the class, I'm gonna do these problems and with you guys, and then go forward with tangent.
For number 5, why isn't that negative or 7 pi over 4?
The thing is,
That it's also in the.
for sine, note my answer I want for sine is from negative pi by 2 to pi by 2. That's what I want.
Yeah, I forgot the rule. I forgot that the between
Yeah.
what and what.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why I cannot write 7 pi by 4.
Yeah. Sorry, I just forgot the rule.
Yeah, it's okay. Any other questions? I mean, today we just did sine and cosine. Make sure you do practice. I'm gonna assign homework. Do the homework for the next lecture. Please do today's homework itself today, because tomorrow I'm gonna do tangent, which will confuse you even more. So if you are good with this thing, tangent will be really easy for you. Any questions, anyone?
Yeah, did you unlock the previous quiz so we can review it?
Previous quiz. I can see, but I don't know, maybe you will be able to, I can open the review, but you'll be able to see your work or no? I don't know. I need to check that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll check that and I'll open it, yes.
Thank you.
Jelena here? Jelena was here. Carly?
I'm here.
Nicholas? Okay, he's not here. Okay, thanks guys. Okay, see you tomorrow, okay? Make sure you do these problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care, bye.
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 Bye. If you have questions, you can stay back. Bye.
Yeah. So I was absent yesterday. So what were we supposed to do? Because I think you were saying something about like
Oh,
the
yesterday.
last quiz.
The thing is, yesterday was I did not teach yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
Oh.
The lecture was cancelled.
Oh, okay. So then about the quiz, you were saying that if we, because my lab was being confusing about radiant or
No. The thing is, what he's trying to say is what Jose wanted is he just wanted me to open so that he can see the quiz. That's all he wanted.
Yeah, because I felt like the my lab, the way it was asking us, were we supposed to, if it's 3 over root 3,